Hey, hi everyone. My name is Pavel, and on behalf of the GDG Minsk core team, I'm very excited to be here on this virtual stage together with our awesome and great speakers. I want to say hello to everyone who is listening to us right now and or watching us on the opposite side of the monitor. Hello everyone. Hello. Before we move forward, I want to introduce us. I want to introduce GDG Minsk as a group that contributes to the general things like education, sharing experience, sharing our knowledge, expertise in different Google technologies. Lucky we are that we have lots of different Google technologies that we can share knowledge about. And of course, expanding our social network. What we do, basically, we focus on different three streams. It's mobile, front-end, and cloud. All of those, all our videos, all our meetups that we hosted online, you can find on our YouTube channel. So subscribe to our channel. So in order to be notified about later news and new meetups that we are going to host in this year. And today, I don't want to talk more about the GDG Minsk. I think that you know what is it, or you got this knowledge from my speech. So now I want to focus on our meetup, and today we are going to host a meetup in cloud technologies. And today, with cloud technologies, our experts, Hanna and Arsenii, will help us to deep dive in several topics of cloud technologies. And I want to invite Hanna to our virtual stage. Let me invite her. Hello, Hanna. Hello, Hanna. So nice to see you today. It's evening, but today we are going to know a lot of things about GCP, and I think that for people who are interested in this topic would be a great chance to expand their knowledge and get some new insights. So, before we start with your presentation, I would just ask you just one question, because it's quite interesting to know your answer on that. What book did you read the last maybe more than 2 times this year or previous year? Yeah, this year it would be quite short distance, but the previous year is better. Yeah. So why it's impressed you so much? Could you please share some details?
Okay, I read a lot of books in general, and I read a lot of not one time to understand book, to understand feelings, how it's written, emotions. I prefer to read more than one time, but my favorite book to read is 100 of Years of Loneliness of Marcus. It's the best. Yeah. It's always interesting when life is changing in this book. And when I was younger, I thought that it's impossible. It's like a fairy tale. But now, I can say that really life is changing so quickly and in interesting way as in this book. It's not nowadays this book for me it's more not fairy tale but kind of book about real life.
Yeah, true. So you will recommend this book to everyone to read it, yeah, right? Oh, great. Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's definitely a good choice. I agree with you, and I prove it as it is. So, okay. So, Hanna, what are you going to tell us today? What would be your agenda for your presentation, kind of? Could you please share some insights before we basically deep dive into your presentation, just to know a bit more?
Okay, today we talk about containers on Google Cloud platform. which tools you can use, what is the easiest, what is the cheapest way, what is not so easy, cheap, but it's very interesting way too, what way nobody uses, but it's very interesting in comfortable way. So hence how what to choose to deploy your service. It's definitely topic about my life. I came to started to use Google Cloud Platform, and I had container, and now I didn't know where I should deploy it.
Yeah, nice. That's why I like GGG as and the meetups in general, because people are sharing their like real experience, real knowledge, and so everyone who is listening to us can later come to the company or find the use case in the daily life in order to apply this knowledge, this new knowledge that we got from the meetup. Okay, I don't want to waste any more time for our discussion because it can be longer. So let's start with your presentation. Could you please share it so I can turn it on? And yeah.
Done.
Okay, here is it. Okay, so rock the stage. I hope everything will be great. And later we will have a Q&A session after the presentation. So I will come back and we'll discuss the questions that we have. Okay. Good. Now, yeah. Good luck.
Thank you. So let's start. My main topic is GCP container tools and how to cook them. A little bit about me, very quickly. I'm Hanna Novikava, lead DevOps engineer from Intergiro. I'm Google Cloud Professional Cloud Architect, so I know some theory, the only disadvantage of a certification, and also certified Kubernetes security specialist. I have more certification, but today it's more about Google Cloud. Why I chose this topic? I already said you. Once upon a time, I have Docker container tool. I was a newbie. It was my project, not pet project, but very small. First, I should run it first time, and I didn't know well about GCP, where I can test, where I should deploy service for production ready traffic, or what ways I can use. So I want you to understand these tools and how to use them in the easiest, cheapest way with me today. So next time you will go to cloud platform and it wasn't a problem for you. It won't be a problem for you at all. Before we start discuss tools, we need to discuss a little bit history of containers, because it's a little bit important too. Why Google is involved in containers, in Docker tools, and other things. Yep. First of all, how we can discuss it and what we can say. First of all, the main idea is that a lot of companies were involved in development of containers, but Docker was kind of the final company who took everything, made a full tool with images, with all things. So let's start. First, number one, FreeBSD. Jails, and this company started developing of containers, but nobody didn't know about it. But it's kind of the first step: expand on Unix root to isolate files. The second step was done by company vServer. So it was done post-kernel isolation, but it requires a compilation. Then company Solaris brings the concept of snapshots, what is very, very important because if you know, right now snapshots are used a lot. Then Google. Yeah, finally, Google introduces process containers merged as C groups. And moreover, if you remember, Google was involved in development of Kubernetes, but it was later, of course. Red Hat adds user namespaces limiting root access in containers. And later, IBM was involved in development of this too. And finally, in 2013, Docker provides simple user tools and images, containers go mainstream. Also, I can add a little bit more information, which is not on this page, that in 2016, the importance of container security is revealed, that some scientists found security issues with related to containers, and such job as DevSecOps, such I think flow was invented. And in time when containers tools become mature, it 2017. And in this time, Kubernetes was adopted by Cloud Native Computing Foundation. Okay, but we should discuss it on next slide. Yeah, here a little bit more about Google Cloud and Kubernetes. So as we already said, Google starts work on process containers. Step 1. Step 2, Docker initialize. In somewhere in 2015, in 2015, Kubernetes donated to CNCF and graduated by CNCF in 2018 and 2020. So 4 years ago, a lot of enterprises use Kubernetes. So now the number of companies which use Kubernetes definitely is more right now. And they continue to migrate. I worked in different companies which should start migration or which were in the middle of process. Well, let's move to Google Cloud Platform and containers. What we have here? We have Google Kubernetes Engine, Google Kubernetes Engine Autopilot and Cloud Run. Both engine standard and Autopilot is Google Kubernetes Engine, but they work differently. So I decided to divide it, and always people prefer to use standard Google Kubernetes Engine. And I think something special for you, Cloud Run tool, which not a lot of people use, but it's a very cool tool. I advise you to investigate a little bit to check what is it. I will help you, but it's, from my point of view, it's the best tool to start work with container tools on Google Cloud Platform. Yep, so let's talk about what is Cloud Run at all. A Cloud Run is a managed compute platform that lets you run containers directly on top of Google's scalable infrastructure. You can deploy code right in any programming language. The main idea, it should be a container image. In fact, building container images is optional. If you use Go, Node.js, Python, Java, or Ruby, you can use the service-based deployment, which builds container for you using best practice from language which you chose. Google has built Cloud Run to work well together with other services on Google Cloud, so you can use another Google Cloud Platform services. Yep, so let's go to another slide. Which features Cloud Run has? Okay, there are two ways to run your code. First of all, it's the usual Cloud Run service. It's used to run code that responds to web requests or events. And the second way is Cloud Run Job. I use it to perform some work. For example, I use it to migrate images from one registry to another. And okay, this service is running and quits when the work is done. Which another features we can have here. Let's talk about security, variables, and other features. For example, what can be done here? For example, a unique HTTPS endpoint for every services. So when you deploy on Cloud Run, you have HTTPS endpoint. You also can use Cloud DNS and set up your own DNS domain. one of the features is fast request-based autoscaling. Very quickly, Cloud Run is built to rapidly scale out of handle all incoming requests. So we will later compare with another such services and other cloud providers, but Cloud Run is the best of the best. Built-in traffic management. Every deployment creates a new immutable revision, and you can route incoming traffic to the latest revision, roll back to previous, or split traffic to multiple revisions. Also, what about private to public services? You can restrict network access. You can use Cloud Run service only from your VPC, or you can allow authenticated users, or you can connect Cloud Identifier proxy. So, and as usually, you can integrate it with Cloud AM. So, from my point of view, it's very interesting and it's very easy because as you even work with AWS or Azure and Google Cloud has very good UI to set up something. But also, I always suggest to use Terraform or another infrastructure as a code tool. But when you want to try something first time, Cloud Run is very easy to try. Cloud Run use cases. Here we need to discuss when we can use it. My best approach, what I like to do, is use Cloud Run for POC, as Cloud Run is serverless, so it can be scaled, and you can just deploy one small container and to check how your service work, which you invented. I know companies who use Cloud Run as a POC for their microservices. Microservices are mentioned here too, so you can use a lot of small microservices deployed on Cloud Run. You can use just simple small services, some websites with dynamic pages, some small web applications. In general, as I remember, Cloud Run is not good for big traffic, for production-ready applications, but still I know some companies who use it in production. Yep, now we're here. We'll discuss Kubernetes tools. Favorite things. My favorite thing. One Google Computer Engine, 2 modes of operation. First of all, it's standard mode. If you work with managed Kubernetes in AWS or in Azure, you should know about managed Kubernetes a little bit. It's a service which help you to manage control plane. So control plane is responsibility of Google Cloud or Cloud Platform, but you need to manage nodes, you need to manage to set up some upgrades, you need to set up, configure security settings and some other settings too. And as I know for now, only GKE can suggest autopilot mode. It's Kubernetes, but it's fully automated by Google Cloud, so you don't do anything. Of course, it's more expensive, but you shouldn't have team to support it. You can have only developers who are writing Docker container services, deploy, and that's all. I think it's unbelievable. Unfortunately, people prefer use standard mode. Sometimes somebody is afraid of features of autopilot mode. Somebody needs to control more. As I said, standard mode has automated clusters lifecycle management, potent cluster autoscaling, which you should configure, cost visibility in Cost Explorer, and also cost optimization, such things like for example, spot instances in AWS, and here preemptible instances, or something more. For example, to choose smallest nodes. And Autopilot configure everything for you. Strong security posture, nodes managed by Google. You shouldn't do a lot. You probably need only configure maintenance windows when you want to upgrade your cluster, when you have time for it. It's not very, very bad for you time. For example, at night or on weekend. Yep. Again, use cases. We should discuss what standard mode is for. Standard mode is for people who is for which company where we can hire a lot of DevOps engineer. Not a lot, but using GKE and standard mode, we definitely need some of them to support, to update, to check versions, some security issues, and to fix everything in it. So Autopilot mode is designed for those who prefer hands-off approach and have a little bit more money. But I think if you have money, you can pay DevOps engineers who will control it, or just buy Autopilot mods, so they're almost equal. Probably the main idea of standard mod is in granular control. Okay, use cases. I think we can deploy in Google Cloud Engine everything, so as usual Kubernetes. But usually we use it for stateful services, for production-ready applications where you have a lot of traffic. And the main idea, you need, for example, some disks to save data in Kubernetes or to communicate with other storages, for example, cloud bucket storages or cloud SQL. And also for what you should use Kubernetes engine, it's for some jobs which are related to usual applications. So if you already have Kubernetes engine, you shouldn't deploy a job in Cloud Run. It's strange. And so Kubernetes, it's more for production ready, a lot of traffic, more for something big, and for services which you need to have a lot of memory, a lot of memory and a lot of CPU. And what I should add, I forgot about it. Unfortunately, you cannot configure ingress controls, some path routing for Cloud Run. So if you need special ingresses, objects, special ingress controllers, different paths, a little bit complicated load balancing, you need to use Google Kubernetes Engine because there is no such possibilities in Cloud Run. This is my scheme. Do you see it? Here's I will say you what is here. Unfortunately, I can see this about slide. So first of all, we need to deploy app in a Docker container. Do we have working GKE cluster or we don't have? It's very important because if we have already sandbox development cluster to test, to run something, we should use it. And if yes, deploy it in current cluster if it's permitted, it's not production. If you don't have a cluster, let's choose. Is it POC, one-day job, or production-ready app and you have a lot of traffic? If it's POC, of course, use Cloud Run service. And later you can migrate to Kubernetes with a little bit adding additional settings. For example, for ingresses. If it's one-time job and you don't have Kubernetes, managed Kubernetes already, use Cloud Run job, as I did it. If it's production ready up and you have a lot of traffic, let's check. Do you have sysops team or you don't have it? If you don't have sysops team and you don't need granular control and it's okay for you to pay for Autopilot mode. In other case, you need to pay salary to sysops team to support it. So I suggest use GK Autopilot. If you already have SysOps team and they have some time, you can choose GKE standard mode and use it and configure what you need, use preemptible instance and some cost-cutting features and some security features too. It's a very, very small table, small scheme. There are a lot of more use cases, but usually we need to choose something for POC or for production ready or for job or decide where to deploy a small service. Next. So we need to discuss such question as multi-cloud strategy. First of all, you should sit and think, do you really need multi-cloud strategy for your application, for your environment, for your company? For example, if your company, it's not some gambling or something like that, it's okay to stay on one cloud platform. But if you really have cases to connect, for example, your application from one cloud platform to another, we need to discuss in this case from GKE where we can move, from Cloud Run where we can move. So Kubernetes engine is very easy, and Autopilot mode 2, we just go to AWS EKS, Kubernetes engine from AWS or to Azure Kubernetes service. It's very easy. You probably need to configure special ingress controller for Kubernetes engine for special cloud platform. For example, Google Cloud have their own ingress controller, AWS have their own, and I don't know, but I assume that Azure have their own ingress controller. So it should be very easy. But what about Cloud Run? Definitely it's not a problem. AWS have container service, and also Azure, there is such a service as Azure Containers, and it should be very, very easy to migrate, because they're very close to each other, and you just need to use another UI and to set up your container. Let's compare them. I have a full table of features and about Azure, AWS, and Google Cloud, and about container tools. Okay, here we have providers and their tools. Okay, first of all, AWS Fargate and Azure Container instances, they're used for container orchestration. AWS used for container orchestration, but Google Cloud Run and Azure, they're used for service containers. AWS Fargate can be used as a service. No. AWS Fargate, as I remember, is servers too, but it's more for container orchestration. Okay. Language support. Language support only Google Cloud Run win in this case. Azure and AWS have only limited Docker containers. Integration with cloud, of course, all these tools will have integration with the cloud platform services. It's understand. I think it's easy. Automatic scaling. All they have. Billing model, the same for all. Resource management. Here, Google Cloud Run has automatically managed resources for Cloud Run, but AWS Fargate and Azure Container instances, they has control over CPU and memory, so it's probably better. Startup time. Enough quick for Google Cloud Run and Azure Containers, but can be different for AWS Fargate. Operation system support. It's easy for all except Azure, it's Linux, but for Azure, it's Windows and Linux. What more? Event-driven support. It's not supported by AWS, but it's supported by Cloud Run and Azure. Bursting support. It's very, very important because imagine you have a situation when you have small amount of requests and suddenly you have a lot of requests. Unfortunately, I faced it in the past. So in AWS Forget there is no support, and you have different kind of support of bursting support for Google Cloud Run and for Azure. Network integration. For AWS Forget, it's VPC networking usual. For Cloud Run, it's load balancing, and VNet integration for Azure. Custom domain, yes, for all services from all cloud providers. Ingress routing. Unfortunately, here Cloud Run doesn't win because there is no ingress routing for Cloud Run, but there is ingress controller for AWS and Azure Application Gateway for Azure. And environment variables, it's easy, it's for all services. Deployment flexibility, so Fargate can be used for AKS too. Cloud Run deployment is managed by Cloud Run. And also, as I understand, Azure containers can be used standalone in Kubernetes. And also, as you can see, maximum container size, and here Google Cloud Run win because the biggest size is for Cloud Run. Okay, let's compare a little bit AWS EKS, GCP, and Azure Kubernetes services. I think a lot of people did it before me, so it's very difficult, but let's discuss quickly. Managed services. All three services provide managed Kubernetes clusters, but EKS and AKS are built on top of their respective cloud platforms, and Google Kubernetes Engine is Google's native Kubernetes offering. Ease of use. Google Kubernetes Engine is often considered the easiest to use as it has simple user interface and integrates well with other Google Cloud Platform services. AKS is also easy to use, and EKS may require more manual configuration. I have proofs. Unfortunately, I use it EKS. Pricing. Pricing depends on cloud platform. As we know, AWS is the most expensive and EKS is the most expensive. Google Cloud in the middle, so it's average price. And Azure is the most cheapest and AKS is the most cheapest, so it's easy. Security, all three providers offers security features such as integration with identity access management, systems and certificate encryption for data in transit. GKE also have a feature called binary authorization, which allows only authorized container images to run in the cluster. Customizability. GKE is known for its GKE is known for its customizability, allowing users to tweak the cluster configuration to fit their customizability. EKS and AKS have some level of customizability, but it may come with additional complexity. And integration with the other services. All three providers offer integration with their respective cloud platforms, but GKE has the most seamless integration as a part of the larger Google Cloud ecosystem. EKS and AKS can be integrated too, but it may require additional configuration. Yeah, that's probably all about comparing. What I can say in the end. Some years ago, when I was a student, I said to my another colleague from university that no, containers won't be our future. We will continue use virtual machine, and I was wrong. Today, I can definitely say that containers are our future, and probably some new orchestration tools will be invented, or Kubernetes engine will be fix it in better way so it will be easy to use. But for me, it's easy to use right now, but some developers will argue with me in this case. And Google Cloud Platform will continue work too. So as I remember, Google some news that if Google Cloud won't be the first, they will stop the platform, but it's not true. They will continue to work. They will continue work on Kubernetes engine. So I think in the future, containers are our future, and GCP is our future too. Probably that's all.
Yeah, the finish line is the bottom line is like containers is our future. That's it. Great. Thank you, Ganna, for your presentation. That was a great introduction, and I think that the main for me basically what I heard so far that the main idea is that containers is really something really important, and it really helps everyone, and we should more pay attention to this topic more and focus on try to containerize to use more containers in the company in your deployment and everywhere. So it's kind of a great tool for your deployment pipeline. What I like about the discussion in the comments, like there was a comment that the basic idea behind Autopilot is not to hire DevOps engineers. Will you comment something, or just we'll leave it like it is?
I fully agree with it, but still, I didn't hear a lot about companies who use Autopilot. Unfortunately, all companies still hire DevOps engineers and use standard mode more than I don't know why.
But basically, there is like another option I would also consider. Another option is that there is a companies on the market that can outsource you the DevOps engineers. Like they can take everything and can automate your pipelines, automate your routine, and the cost can be even much less than, for example, hiring a separate DevOps. If you don't have a fully if you can't fully I would say to fully organize your DevOps in your company, like if you don't have enough tasks for them or something, if the capacity is not so big, then consider to hire additional company that can make you automate and put everything in containers and will handle it on their own. Just an idea as well.
Maybe some DevOps engineers use standard mode just to make this company open to hire new DevOps engineers. Kind of we help others to find a job. I don't know.
yeah, maybe. Okay, so now it's yes, I didn't mention that, but now it's a time for your questions. Everyone who is listening to us, are eager to ask questions, and so we will try to answer them. Like at the moment, there is no many questions in our comments in our chat, so I will start with my own questions. Maybe later our audience will decide to announce their own questions as well. So during your presentation, I think that it would be interesting to find out what other interesting features you would recommend, not the one that you mentioned in the presentation, but kind of additional interesting features that we might consider to maybe to integrate in GCP.
Okay, if we talk more about Kubernetes engine, I didn't mention Anthos Mesh. It's kind of alternative of Istio Mesh, which integrates Kubernetes engine, and it's interesting to use it as service mesh is kind of something very, very popular. It's already integrated in Kubernetes engine, so let's try to use it. So it's one of which I suggest.
Okay, nice. That would be interesting to find out a bit more about this later. Okay, thank you. And I have one more question to you. And what other services in GCP do use Docker containers?
Yep. So this tool don't run, but they use them. For example, Dataflow use containers, flows where you build some code. Also, as I remember, Composer probably use it, and Container Registry doesn't use Google containers, but its registry is kind of for image of containers, so it's related.
It's related, yeah. Okay, nice. Okay, so I'm looking in the chart right now, and I don't see much. Just a second. One question appeared because we have a short latency between the chat and our online tool that we are using for streaming the video. So that can happen sometimes. So there is a question. Obviously, non-standard mode is more suitable for small projects. Am I right?
It depends. I would like to choose Cloud Run for small projects too. But if it's small project, for example, small team, they need to support big production-ready application with a lot of traffic. Yes, I suggest non-standard mode, autopilot mode. But if it's small projects, it just started, and you need to deploy somewhere, I suggest use Cloud Run because it's more easy than Kubernetes Engineer. It's even better for small service, small project.
Yeah. So something for when it's a startup, something that is when you want to write a small MVP, and it's easier to deploy. Yeah, right. So it's faster, quicker, and later when you start scaling, then it's better to to think about alternatives, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I see. Great. I hope that we answered the question. If not, please write down in our chat so I can ask it again. Okay. I don't see any more questions right now at the moment. So I think that. Oh, sorry. I think that let's then finish with our session, with our presentation. Thank you, Hanna, for your talk, for your presentation. It was really interesting to find out more about the GCP and the features, about the Cloud Run and all these features, because basically for me it was something new, because previously I heard about GCP, about the Cloud Run, but didn't try it on my own. So your real experience, your use cases was good insight for me as well. So thank you very much for your presentation, and
waiting for the next topic. I will see.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening. Yeah. So now we are ready for the second speaker, for another speaker. It's Arsenii. Arsenii, come here, please. So Arsenii, hello. We can't hear you because you're muted. Could you please unmute?
Okay. Yeah. Hello, Pavel.
Hello. Yeah, you have a nice hat,
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, great hat. Yeah, before we start, I did the same practice with Hanna several minutes ago, but would like to ask you one more question before you start your presentation. So just to have to get acquainted a bit and have a small talk. So, what was your first job? Could you please share some details or maybe some interesting fact about your first job? What was it?
Well, there are a lot of interesting facts about my first job. Maybe like the first one gonna be that my current job is my first job, despite the fact I'm working here like 8 years, 9 years, something like that. And the number of projects I've been working on is really huge. It's just the matter of the number of different departments I changed in my current working place. So during this 8 years, I changed at least 5 departments that I have calculated. And I started being just like an assistant of the finance of the CFO, basically Chief Finance Officer. And I was doing the inventorization back in the Minsk office. And that was quite a fun experience, but non-related to the IT, despite the fact I was studying IT back then. It was just like an opening door for me to jump into the world of the IT. I was working for free, essentially. I'm still saying that I was working for cookies because I gained up in weight by like 10 kilograms just eating a lot of cookies in the office. That was quite a fun experience. I was never complaining. Like, okay, I really enjoying talking to people and seeing how the real IT is working, not just like what they taught us in the colleges and all that.
The real plan and real is different.
Yeah, exactly. And then at some point in time, I made a very good friendship with the system administrator department, and they proposed me like to join them. It was half a year later, or even a year later after I joined the company. And then I was at the system administrator. Then I decided to go DevOps. Then I decided to go crypto DevOps, and all that still within the same company.
Okay. Oh, nice. So many different fields you've already touched. That's great. That's great. Okay. Thank you for your insight, for your details about your first job. It was a nice experience, I hope. Okay.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't mention that in the beginning, but today Arsenii will show a demo. So be prepared. So it will be a short video. We will show some nice techniques, strategies. So be ready for that. And now we are ready to start. But could you please share your screen so I can slides so I can show it to the audience, to our community.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So
it takes seconds for Google to figure out how to. Okay, I think it should be there now. It's processing. Good.
Yeah, it will be just in a second. So okay, yeah, I see it. I see this. Okay. So I'm adding to the video. So yeah, we are ready. So rock the stage. Good luck, and see you on the Q&A session.
Okay.
And by the way, when it will be a demo, please inform, and I will turn on the demo. Okay. Good. So take the stage.
Yeah, I was hoping that I will have another computer here by my side, but no. Okay. Let's go ahead, guys. Okay. And here we go. Okay. Hello and welcome to our wonderful basics course around logging in GCP. My name is Arsenii, and I'm going to be your presenter today. Together we are going to gradually get through the very basics of GCP logging. I prefer to have rather funny presentations, so today I tried to generate a set of pictures with a hero of popular meme that will follow us during the presentation. If someone provide me with a correct guess of what is the origin of this meme, I'll give you a small bonus. just like make sure that you don't spam the chat. So I will limit everyone's attempts by like 3 attempts. Everyone have the 3 attempts. Feel free to write anytime in the chat. And if you have the right guess, I will tell it, yeah, you got it. In the meanwhile, we are continuing. Second slide, who is talking? So, despite the fact I'm mostly working as a manager nowadays and doing business, I'm coming with a very cool technical background. You have heard already that I was working as a system administrator for quite a while. I have the financial background. I have been working as the in marketing department for some time. So my technical background spreads over also several certifications that are heavily topic related. At the very same time, I'm possessing the AWS, GCP, and Azure top-notch certificates. It's either the architect certificate or like Azure DevOps engineer certificate. And I also been trained and I got the certification over the Kubernetes administration. Okay. I understand that for some of you, the GCP mastering might be sounding like overwhelming, like for this guy, in the picture here. But the topic I'm going to be covering today is rather simple. Like, you think about collecting the logs. What could have been simpler? But it's only when you're looking from the implementation perspective. Going just one step further, trying to like design the logs, either from technical or from business perspective, and you're entering the completely new complexity level. But before we move on, I would probably ask Pavel to give me a helping hand, and so I could present via screen sharing. Yeah, like that. Great, because it seems that some of the important animations that I did for this slide is not working if you are simply connecting to the tool that you're working for the presentation. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, Pavel. Good. Everyone sees the screen. Okay, I think it's everyone. Yeah, important animations gradually appear in my certifications. Great. Let's move on, guys. About what I'm talking. Today, I'm going to cover several topics around the login in GCP, and the primary tool that I'm going to be covering is called Sync. Is a thing, right? But the topics I'm going to be covering is how logs are working in GCP, how to configure the things, what are possible export destinations, how to set up data filters, how to collect logs in the secure way, and yeah, that's pretty much it. The target audience is mostly the people who never did the sync log collection yourself. Even if you did the log collection via GCP, via some other ways, or like third-party software, it might be still very interesting for you. I'm not going to go too much into details around exact syntax one might be using for setting up the filters, simply because this is relatively easy to find in the documentation. I would rather stop on general ideas, concepts, and deep dive into the strategies rather than on specific implementations. So get yourself a tea and let me begin. First of all, what the problem we are solving? Obviously, like handling the large volumes, like login was a thing long before the cloud era, right? And it was never an easy one. You had to figure out how to store this huge amount of unsorted data, how to do the proper access control around data that you store. I mean, like, remember that I know that it's not recommended to have the security-related data, not the security-related data, but sensitive data inside of the logs. But we are all humans, and a lot of developers are still like pushing the very sensitive data in the logs. So you have to be very careful about who can access your logs. Then you need to somehow like rotate these logs, so perform the retention management. And yeah, that was it's like even if you had at the end of the day, to do the log management, you had to configure everything yourself. So there was no magic button that will say, okay, now I want logs to be collected that way. It was you installing the agent, installing the essentially installing the software, the log collector that was listening on some port, and you have to configure it, and that all in the end of the day was ending up with requiring a specific skill set. So you had to hire a dedicated person that will carry this complicated process for you, or you had to hire the company that will outsource, like the outsourcing company that will do that for you. One way or another, it was extremely expensive. Next. So why logs are even more important in the cloud then? The cloud login in the first days of the cloud was not easier, but even more complicated task. It retained all the issues that I was covering in the previous slide, like all the issues of the bare metal login, and also introducing the new one. So you still need to monitor and analyze everything, but now you don't have a server that lives until you order it to die. You have servers and services that might live only a few seconds, and if you don't centralize your login, you have the data lost forever when the server or services finishes, right? Unless you were working with the huge business with data centers around the globe, you had a very low latency and limited number of points of presence. But now, even with small businesses, the majority is still going to be working with small businesses. Your cloud entities might be located at tons of different places. It's popular even for small businesses to oh yes, but I want to have points and presence in Africa for some reason, right? Or I want to have a point and presence in United States while 99% of your clients is in Europe. So sometimes business decisions might be tricky, but we will talk about that a bit later. And honestly, I'm not talking even about the regions. It can be also services. You can span across the services, and you can even span across different clouds, and you need to collect everything somehow together. The number of locations to collect the logs from were never so huge. What categories of logs are there? And the Google things essentially were made just to solve all the issues we have just discussed. I will start talking about them with this funny information I found on the things main page. It is describing the type of things that are designed to store, that the things are designed to store. The first line there is the most interesting to me. So, what you need things for? You need things to store the logs that are unlikely to be read, but that must be retained for compliance purposes. That's literally a quote from the docs. So the GCP team is telling you basically the following. Hey, we are on your side. If these boring business guys just want you to store dumb blocks for years without any visible purpose, you've got you covered. Just link them all in the cloud storage. And of course, there are any other more relevant, well, all of them are relevant, but still other relevant use cases. To organize your logs in bucket in a format that is useful to you, to use big data analysis tools on your logs, to stream your logs to other applications, other repositories, or third parties. So, yeah. It's like the last one is essentially to use any third-party software, even outside of the cloud or to some other cloud, no problem. Just let us know where to direct the flow. And moving on. When I get you interested, it's time to it's just the right time to ask the following questions. What are the things themselves anyway? So when you think of things, pardon my puns, you might compare them to the real things that are getting huge flow of water, logs in our case, and redirect into the specific pipe. A sink is essentially a part of a mechanism called GCP log router that essentially defines the logs flow, how logs are exported from the login source to the login destinations. With things, you can export logs either to other GCP service for further analysis or to external storage solution. Let's check an official GCP diagram that explains things. Okay, let's start with the bottom part of this schema and talk about the destinations. This schema replicates the documentation I was showing before. The Google storage is used to for keeping the logs that are unlikely to be read. The BigQuery is used for big data analysis. Cloud monitoring is, well, probably the most usual way of handling logs for keeping a hand on pulse of your system for monitoring essentially. And PubSub is for every other application not stated before, for any third-party integrations you might be thinking of. Now the middle part. To define where the logs are going, we would use a term, the thing that is called the bucket. The bucket has nothing to do with S3 buckets of Amazon. Here, in the context of GCP things, the buckets are simply the set of rules that defines where every piece of logs are being set. It might depend on the log source, log name, log severity, and the number of other parameters. These parameters are called filters. Then let's talk about the things themselves. When configuring logs, there are two default things that are created automatically: the required and the default. While required contains only the main essential system logs stored for compliance purposes by Google, the default is the one you may already start configure as you wish. The good thing is that Google doesn't push you to pay for the required logs, so this already makes your life easier. However, you are not allowed in any way to configure the required bucket, and this is what you're going to see in the demo. Default, on the contrary, can be modified almost limitlessly. Essentially, I would say that the default thing is the first user-defined thing out there. Now, with all the information we already know, let's try to create your very first custom thing. For that, I'm going to finish the presentation for a second. And going to start a video. Yeah, I would love to start a video. Pavel, could you help me?
Log router. Wonderful. It's a part of log router things essentially. You see here the two buckets that are already there, the default and the required. The required one, you can't do anything much about that, you just can see the details, and that's an important detail because actually here's this inclusion filter that includes only this audit, access transparency, system events, again system events, activities, these kind of things. So for the sake of this example, I'm going to create a third one, a third log router. Something to begin with. GDG Meetup test. Next. BigQuery dataset. Oh, I don't have a BigQuery dataset. Oh, well, such a shame, but I can create a new one. Blah, 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 test. Region, only one specific region. Don't go with multi-region unless, you know, that's really matters because the cross-region traffic counts always. Whatever. Enable table exploration one day. La 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 la. Okay, I want to have the logs from the compute engine only. How do I know what are the proper logs there? For this, you may use a thing that is called Logs Explorer that allows you to see what fields are you usually having. For example, here, I remember I was definitely restarting the instances before here. So here we have the compute Google APIs. And we see here the service name is compute@googleapis.com. Wonderful. So this is very important because this log has default text that will help us. Let's copy that. And let's filter it here, right? So the filter would go as follows. Include and exclude. So remember what we were having. First, let me create a thing, but then let's quickly stop on one important thing here. Log router here. But then let's think about that. Here you see what they were doing. In the required, they were writing log ID in inclusion filters. And then he was writing also on the default one, what they were writing. Not this, exactly the same as in the critical one, right? But the required one. But here is not. Why for the world they wouldn't use the exclusion filters? There is an important thing for that. So think about that as the gates. The more gates pass, the more you have to pay essentially. So if you can do something with inclusion filter, do it with inclusion filter. That's what docs says. Because they're mentioning that if you're going to go with exclusion filters, the mechanism will work differently and the whole logs processing will work slower because it's not like not letting some of the logs pass, it just gathering all the logs and finding the wrong ones. And the service will become more expensive as the result. So the Google recommends to use the inclusion filter rather than exclusion filter if it is possible. It's not possible everywhere. Wonderful, we have our own bucket. And now let's go do something with Compute Engine.
While we are waiting for the web page with the Compute Engine to open, let's also open a BigQuery page to see if any of the logs have already appeared.
We open the BigQuery, we see the test table, it's empty. Why? Okay, let's think about that. Maybe we just didn't do anything with the instance. Okay, let's do something with the instance. Yeah, whatever. I'm just going to say that if we're having a disk, we are going to keep it. Why not? Save. That takes time. While we are doing that, we are going to be watching the logs. And the logs are still... Yeah, they have arrived. Here we go. Let's query the thing. Whatever. Run. Oh, yeah. Select everything. Don't do it in this kind of things in production. The more you select in BigQuery, the more you're paying for that. But we have only a couple of records there. That's nothing to process actually. And yeah, wonderful. Here we go. Blah 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 blah. Arsenii@Protofirio. That's my email. With this specific IP, set disk auto delete.
Okay, that concludes our demo. What I'm going to do now is to
quickly delete the sync in the log router just to not to forget this. Always remember to clean up your resources, that's also very important. The dataset is, well, gonna take just a couple of bucks, but this one might be problematic if I'm going to leave it like that. So, getting back to the presentation.
Arsenii, I can hear you. So you're
Give
muted
me my
again.
presentation back. I need it.
Yeah. So which one? The one
The-
this
Yes.
one? Oh,
Oh, no. Okay, I need
no.
to screen
Yeah.
share. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Give me a second. I'm going to screen share now this thing and present, share screen. Here we go.
So yeah, this one. Right. Okay.
Lovely. So, during the demo, we briefly touch upon the filter creation logic, right? Now let me expand a bit on how you should approach the logic of the filter creation. I'm going to say a pretty controversial thing, but you don't ever need logs just for the sake of logs. It's just like IT for the sake of IT. I know you like IT, as well as I like it. But storing the logs are not needed unless this actually brings any value for the business. And yes, to stop you all from rage quitting, keeping the uptime of the website might also count as the business value if you know how to present this business value. Why am I saying might? Well, in our demo, we gathered all the information about events that are happening around instances we have. Does it make any sense? The right answer is the one that I heard during Hanna's presentation. The right answer is it depends. And this is the most common answer in the business area. Depending on what question business actually need to answer, the answer will also differ. Would our demo be useful to answer the question on how often any error happened to the instance? Well, yes and no. Using the BigQuery, we can filter out only error events, but then why not simply filter them out using the inclusion filter? Just one step back. Unless, let me say, you need to know a proportion between errors and all the rest of the events for some reason. For example, you're filtering out the Nginx logs, and you need to figure out what is the proportion between the whole, the number of accesses of the page and the number of errors that happened during this access. Because every time one of these, I will lock everything because it is security and observability, it all ends like that guys on the picture. It all ends with business crying over the money being synced through the cost inefficiencies. So, identify goals. I remember me back in my first day saying, I will do everything according to the best practices. But back then I didn't understand that best practices will actually depend on the value these practices brings. And storing all the logs all the time might deal more harm than good, actually. Identify the type of logs you are dealing with. For example, audit logs, VPC flow logs, App Engine logs, and always refer to Logs Explorer to understand what type of fields you have in your logs. Depending on the source type, each log entry might be having a completely different set of fields, as you might have seen in the demo. Yes, there are some default ones like the resource type, severity, and the log name, but you should be always double checking with, thank God it's still free, Log Explorer before finalizing the logic. And always do the dry runs, trying to figure out where you have been mistaken. Maybe even draw the Euler circles if that will help you in any way. And your burden of log syncing might become as easy as for this guy. Next, let's also repeat 3 topics I touched upon during the demo. First of all, you will heavily depend on the tags your logs are containing. So always tag everything for future references. This way you will easily master the search over tons of messy logs, as full text search is often long and resource consuming. Second, don't set extensive retention period. in your analysis tools, in your storages, like everywhere. Make sure to set this to the reasonable answer to the question on how long should we keep each log after it's been created, or will the information bring enough value to cover the cost of its storage? And the last but not least, I remind you that like GCP recommend using inclusion filters rather than exclusion ones for cost efficiency purposes. And one small hint here, before we move to the other topic. I know that I was not covering during the demo the gathering logs from the instance specifically. And I want to stress that you should never be expecting that application logs you're having inside of your instance will automatically appear in Cloud Console. Google Cloud, by default, by their documentation, doesn't have access to what is inside your virtual machine by default. To gather the logs, you have to actually you need to actually install the tool that is called Ops Agent to your system. To do that, follow the simple instructions you can find in the documentation, or you can even, when creating a virtual machine, there is even a checkbox that allows you to pre-install this Ops Agent easily. Next, now for the end of my presentation, let's change a set a bit different, more positive vibe, I would say. I know it's been like very like not easy going, but I want to change that vibe so you remember me in a good way. We are going to still be talking about very important topic, security, but in my practice, people tend to easily remember important things when you make a joke out of it. So here is the series of jokes about very important things. First of all, be careful with the borderline. The most dangerous area is always your border. And I'm saying like about the clouds, first of all, of course. Now I'm sounding like a rightist. Oh my God. Anyway, when the logs are entering or leaving your cloud, you have to somehow configure the security there, right? And this is the most dangerous area because it's kind of complicated to mess things inside of the cloud. It's complicated to do things insecurely inside of the cloud. Inside of the cloud, all things like are set up automatically, as you saw with the logs. The logs flowed from the from the compute engine to the log router flawlessly without any problem. And when you configure it to the third-party software, you have to stop the credentials. And when there are a word of credentials, you have to be very careful about the security. And the next thing you have to, like, in the Google Cloud, there is a concept of service accounts, right? That is for which you are going to be creating this. These credentials, and you have to be very careful about the configuring the proper role that you're giving to this role. You need to be you need to go very granularly. It's like piece by piece, atom by atom, adding specific permissions to make sure that if somebody even gets the credentials, they're not going to put their hands over your important information. Well, yeah. Make sure to encrypt all the data also, especially when it comes to entering and leaving the cloud. Inside of the cloud, it's usually done automatically. In transit and at rest, like always encrypt everything, and try to not rely on the long-term security credentials. If you can, rotate them as fast as possible, like as soon as possible, and all these kind of things. And the last meme for today is push from GCP instead of pulling. Why is that? Honestly, it's like I'm writing here, don't change my mind, because my mind about this last meme would change from the very specific requirement. But having someone gathering the credentials that will allow them to access the place where your storage logs is still better than providing the credential that will let people not only access the logs, because they will still have the credentials, right? but also access the GCP. Even if you're sure about your tiniest permission bits, it's better to not give them even the opportunity to hack you. Now, let's conclude our presentations with the QA session. But before that, I want to ask you the question, like I give you, I don't know, 30 seconds, so you could throw your suggestions about what meme I was trying to generate through the pictures you saw. And I'm going to check the chat. Nobody's writing anything. So guys, I'm going to reveal it next slide. So just give me your best guesses. Anything. In the meanwhile, just to not keep the awkward silence here, I'm going to go through the summary. Present, share screen. Yes. So as for the results of today's presentation, I hope that all of you are going to be at least able to answer the following questions, starting with who is this guy who is presenting for you, what the things are, going through these very important topics on what the things are, how to use them, how you export logs, how you do that in the secure manner. And yeah, anyways, any guesses? No idea. So many new memes, no idea either. Well, it's not actually super new. It's actually happening from, and I'm super surprised that Hanna doesn't know this meme, given the fact how she likes Twitter. This meme is actually coming from this very famous Elon Musk guy who decided to buy a Twitter some time ago. And the first day he did it, he came to the Twitter office with, yeah, you name it, with a sink. So Q&A session now. I'm ready to throw your best questions at me. And Pavel, do you want to join me?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that meme I know. Basically, I mean, I remember this picture of Elon Musk entering the Twitter building, and yeah, and bringing this thing to the reception.
That was just so fun. When I started to think about the presentation, about the themes, I was like, okay, I need to put this presentation to this meme somewhere, and I decided to draw it through the ChatGPT. But he's like, oh no, I can't draw Elon Musk. He's like a famous figure. I can't do that. And I was like, okay, just generate some random guy for me holding a thing with the GCP logo on it. And yeah, through all these attempts, I had like 10 or 15 attempts. I was able to generate this guy on the left, and I think this is hilarious, honestly.
Yeah. That's great. That's funny. Really. I'm not so good at memes, but yeah, this one I know. My God.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thank you, Arsenii, for your presentation. Now we know about the sync more, and basically the idea of logs and how to collect and all this stuff. As I see, there's not so many questions in the chat. I hope that there will be some. And while we are waiting for the questions from the community, I would love to ask you my question because it's quite interesting for me to know what's your experience or what's your opinion about other I would say platforms or other cloud providers like AWS, for example. What about like collecting logs? In terms of collecting logs, in terms of logs, what is like? Is it easier here in GCP, or is it like, I don't know, any thoughts? Maybe you have any opinion?
In my
about
experience, in the past years working with all these three clouds, I would say that GCP is standing in a front line when it comes to the log collection. Basically, they bought this. They acquired this company that was called, I think, Stackdriver, something around that, and they incorporated the Stackdriver into their technologies. This is why I think it was so good. They bought a startup that was good with collecting logs, and they added that to their services.
So
While when
killed
it
two
goes,
rabbits. Okay.
sorry.
They killed two rabbits. Like
Yes, with one shot, exactly. While
Uh-huh.
when we are talking about AWS, they are still trying to catch up, and sometimes it looks weird, like they are simply copying things, not connected with logs. But I remember when the Cloud Shell appeared in AWS, and I was like, okay,
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
you're simply copying that from GCP. The same thing stands for some of the CloudWatch and CloudWatch and the login technologies there. It's sometimes I'm just log into AWS and like, okay, guys, you're catching up. But when you're going to be start introducing something really new, really fresh, really like something that GCP, for example, doesn't have. As for the Azure, I wouldn't say I have this like extensive experience there. Maybe they have like maybe they are standing somewhere in the front lines as well. But in these recent days, I tend to think that Azure is heavily losing the battle in the clouds area. They still have a very good enterprise clients, but when they're talking about the startups and all that, it's super unreasonable for anyone to use Azure in 90% of the cases, simply because they're most expensive, they're less flexible, they're like literally everything. Sorry for those of you who are loving Azure, it's just like the truth. And I'm speaking the language of truth here. And the major reason why it's one of the top 3 clouds is because it's backed by Microsoft and because it's backed by the enterprise clients, which is it's really great for enterprise clients. Though. So the question from Noel here, I'm seeing also. If you can connect GCP things with external tools like Grafana, Prometheus, or even ELK. Yes, you can do that, definitely. They even have a guide on how to connect your thing to the third-party software. This is basically done through the tool that is called PopsUp. In GCP, so you're redirecting your logs. It's just like I forgot how it's called, SQS in AWS. So it's basically a queue that allows you to subscribe to the messages of this queue and to and the thing you are pushing your logs to the queue. And so from this queue, you're reading via some subscriptions from Grafana. Not sure about the ELK, but should be totally doable. Why not?
I see. Yeah, I hope that we answered this question. So okay. So what do we have right now? We basically do not have more questions anymore. So thank you for your time and for your presentation. I'm going to finish our meetup because it was quite insightful and quite a new tool, because I didn't know about the sync before our presentation. Basically, that's something new to me as well. So that was great that we and that's why we're here, to share the knowledge and to share the expertise. So that's really cool. Thank you, Arsenii, for your presentation and your knowledge. Really.
Thank you so much, Pavel, for inviting me. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, great. So I wish you a good evening, and I'm going to finish this meetup. Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone who were watching us during and staying with us during this 1 hour and a half. Yeah, 1 hour and a half almost. And I hope that you enjoyed this meetup. Please leave your feedback in the chat, in the comments to this video, to this meetup, or reach us in any available network like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or any other channels as well. So we are happy to be here today and with you, and thank you very much for watching us, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well, and see you next time. Please subscribe to our channel so you will get notified when we schedule our next stream. And thank you for your questions as well. Yeah. So have a good evening and goodbye. I'm going to finish the stream.